First off, let's take a brief moment to remember that this game's finale takes place pretty much immediately after Turnabout Visitor, which is the game's tutorial case. If you remember, the investigation of that case got wrapped up by about 5:47 AM. Edgeworth can't be a night owl, considering that the cases he prosecutes usually start as early as 10 AM. With that being the case, he investigated the murder in his office for presumably a lengthy amount of time, making it a little strange that the first we see of him in this episode, at 10:17, he's not fast asleep, but sitting up on the couch drinking tea. Honestly, after dealing with 3 murders back to back to back, I feel like he would rather be asleep due to exhaustion. Hey, what's wrong with you? Where's your enthusiasm? Where it's always been, the land of make-believe. I suppose it is quite an urgent matter. However, do you know which country's embassy we should be investigating? Well, it's some really special country, and I'm actually really fuzzy on the details. But never mind that, where's all your energy? Why are you so lackadaisical today? Mainly because you can't just be rushing to go somewhere if you don't know where it is you're going. You know it's an embassy, but that's it, you don't know which one. Everyone knows that the real Yatagarasu would never send something like a calling card. Everyone, are you sure about that? I suppose it really is more impactful to watch a show in person than on television. Especially since you likely only get one chance to experience it for yourself, and it feels a lot more fresh that way. But that unfortunately seems to be a dying breed. You know, ever since I first met this girl, I've always had this inkling that what she really wants to be is not a thief, but rather a ninja. Her ideas of making a grand entrance for her heists as evidence in Investigations 2 don't exactly scream ninja, do they? Anyway, we were talking about the Olipos versus Bobble Goodwill Jubilee. The two countries have had a pretty bad relationship with each other, but supposedly they've been trying really hard to make up recently. That's why they decided to hold this event. If that's the case, then why the verses? Good question. The competitive nature of verses and the peaceful Goodwill Jubilee are not concepts that really go together, unless we're talking about sports, of course, but we're not. We're talking about a nation split in two fixing their relations. It's the Steel Samurai! Steel Samurai fanboy Miles Edgeworth is bound to make the Moon Matrix go wild one of these days. I'll just be patiently waiting. To Edgeworth, from Steel Samurai Daddy, married man of Neo-Old Tokyo. It amazes me Edgeworth was able to read such sloppy semi-cursive. I say semi-cursive because take a look. The way half of these letters are written, most of these aren't even close to cursive. If you're not going to commit the whole way, or if you just suck at cursive, why even bother writing cursive? I'm sorry, but I will need to search you before you may enter. What the? Hey! The Steel Samurai just walked straight on through without one! Because he was summoned, okay? How short are the stage shows at the embassy? It was 5 o'clock when the Steel Samurai show started, and all within an hour, both shows already played? I mean, since it was 2 shows the same night, I could only imagine each being single act, but still. This office is considered to be a part of the Republic of Bobble, which means that anything that happens in here defaults to the control of the Bobblese government and Bobblese law, giving them exclusive extraterritorial rights. Extraterrestrial rights? Sir, do you really believe that the truth is out there? No, only adventure. This guy is incredibly nice, meaning there's no way he's involved in the crime, right? Right? Fanny Caution. I heard that he was an admirable person. Very admirable. He took someone's life, he was so admirable. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. And I won't rest until I've sinned every instance this line is spoken. This thing practically screams artsy at me too. Although it's also covered in blood, just like the last thing that I said was artsy. If you're talking about the suitcase, it was just the inside. A ceiling fan? What does one of those do? You act like ceiling fans are a more recent invention. They're not. They're decades older than you, detective. Well, if I had one of those in my room, I bet I'd go dizzy from staring at it as I slept. Detective Gumshoe, in the real world we close our eyes when we sleep. Not everyone. I've heard of people that sleep with their eyes open. Also, I don't buy Gumshoe never having had a ceiling fan before. In the present, maybe. During his childhood, heck no. Is it just me, or does this man look just like the Steel Samurai? They could be twins. Or the Steel Samurai's design could have just been based on King Primodex. It's a feature of these knives wherein you could freely exchange the handles on them, so that we can change how they look to fit the situation, of course. What situation could possibly require you to swap the blades? Does it even make a difference if the blades themselves all look identical? I don't think we need much thought to deduce that the butterfly motif on the knife handle suggests that it's a Bobblese knife. Prove someone in one of the countries is ringleader. I think we're turning part Russian by the end of that sentence. I only say part because there's still a the. What I mean is that the secret to this safe is that Who's going to unironically say the safe is completely empty? What are the papers in there just a figment of our imagination? Well, even if he is dead, we still have a responsibility to look into his misdeeds. Do you expect me to whip a dead man? Well, I'm not interested. No one said anything about whipping him. We're just gathering information about the smuggling ring he supposedly ran. That's all. I'd still listen to what that person had to say before I pass judgment. Ah, are you talking about yourself in those times when you were under suspicion? I think the pain of being falsely accused is something you really should experience. Foreshadowing. So the object Kay felt by her feet on the floor was the murder weapon. But the knife was closer to the body, and when we saw Kay turning on the light, she was near the door, away from the body. It's possible that the girl herself is the one who switched the handles. Hold it! Don't be ridiculous! For what purpose would she do such a thing? I don't care to know how a criminal thinks. That kind of attitude paired with Lang's makes it easy to suspect Lang of dirty dealings when really it's just Sheena who's evil. Don't get me wrong, Lang was still following a crappy philosophy, but unlike Sheena, he had tragic reasons for what he did. The points up top about the Prima Duck statue and 3 knives in each country are 2 concepts, so why is there 3 bullet points? You believed in me the whole time, right? Tell me you did. Not really, but... What do you mean, not really? Count off! 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Shifu, 99 callouts, so all 99 members are most likely here and accounted for, sir. Most likely? How do you expect to be sure if Lang wants them all to call out 1 during the count-off? Also, where's the individuality for these agents now? They all look exactly the same. Is it because they're all number 1? I'm really sorry, but it's not my birthday. Lang Zi says, a cub who disrespects others soon feels the disciplinary bite of an elder. All he did was state it wasn't his birthday. Sounds good to me. The fewer troublemakers, the better. I understand Kay blowing the raspberry, but Gumshoe? Isn't that even a tiny bit immature? Recently, we've discovered some very well-made counterfeit bills circulating in Zhengfa. Counterfeit bills for what currency? I know the name of the currency isn't relevant to the plot, but would it kill you to tell us? I mean, I could make a guess. Since Zhengfa was largely inspired by China, would the currency be... yuan? Oh, and Mr. Edgeworth, if you happen to come across my phony, you let me know, okay? If you tell me, I'll rush on over straight away no matter where you are. You sound ready to break the law whenever necessary. Whoa! What the heck was that for? I accidentally became a suspect in a murder! It's been 2.5 years and this happens again? I've known him since grade school, and for as long as I've known him, he has been the world's largest source of trouble with a capital T. Hey, what kind of introduction is that? You're so mean, Edgy. Did he just respond to that? I thought that was just narration. You're the one who wrote my Still Samurai autograph? You didn't notice earlier? I even winked at you through my headpiece. Of course I wouldn't have noticed. Of the murder of a man who had snuck into this embassy. Master Mask 2. Master Mask 2? You know, like Master Mask 1, but fatter and Asian. A few months ago, this thief caused a lot of havoc on the populace. Might even have been longer than just a few months ago when he started stealing valuable treasures from display. You sure know quite a bit about the Steel Samurai. That's only because I saw the stage show earlier. That and a few other private reasons. So that's the only reason the Passion Flowers are added to the core record, so Edgeworth can remember the name. I guess the Passion of Christ must be a powerful thing if a blatant atheist like Edgeworth wants to write the name down. Tell me, Larry, is it just me or is the spirit bit bent? What? No way! It's exactly as it should be, yo! A spear should be bent? Even with how stupid Larry is, he can tell better lies than that. The samurai spear is made of metal. I somehow doubt that a move as simple as spinning it around would cause it to bend. Man, Edgy, you're so naive! What? Where did that come from? Well, you keep calling it the samurai spear, but it's not real. You can't really fight someone with it, because it's hollow on the inside. First off, Larry's got a good point. In the entertainment industry, not everything is as it looks to the audience. But second, what's wrong with calling it the samurai spear? That's what the prop is called, is it not? Third, even though the samurai spear is not real, apparently there was this one case where someone was thought to have died from getting stabbed by it. Turns out the guy was just knocked into a sharp fence post, just like someone he killed a while back. Miss Pink Princess, if you would please answer. Me! Dang it, old bag! At least with every other game you were in, it was just for 1 episode. Why 2 for this one? Stop haunting me! I thought he was trying to avoid me, you know. That was no misjudgment on your part! That's precisely what I was trying to do! Just give it to her straight already. I don't approve of your affections! Don't you worry, Edgy Poo. I chase you for forever, to the ends of the earth. Actually, maybe that's not a bad idea. Maybe then she'll eventually grow tired of all the running and collapse from exhaustion. Apparently, the girl who plays the pink princess collapsed from a bad cold. It happened so suddenly, so they called me in to be her last-minute replacement. Do they not have enough people on staff at that studio? Not enough staff? Fine, but why out of all people would they call this ancient woman? I'd personally settle for penny nickels. Because they let me stand in for her, she's going to have a terrible time when she returns. I mean, I'm not exactly great at reading the strange font they use, plus I was called in to be a stand-in at the very last second, so I tripped over all the most important lines. I knew that ragdoll said the shuriken hit the steel samurai instead of the enemy, and the audience was in an uproar. But it's not my guard actress, don't forgive me, because I tell you, they're really just a bunch of simpletons. In other words, the show was a failure, and yet previous dialogue made it sound as though it were a resounding success. Wendy, I'll be descending on you from above tonight. Your loving knight. It's easy to see the M being mistaken for a W, but why are tonight and night able to be read correctly, and meanwhile Mindy is read as Wendy, despite that I looking a lot more like an I than the other I's in the same letter? Why not Windy, as in windy old bag? It appears to be a lady's undershirt. I wonder if Ambassador Alba might have an interest in cross-dressing. Spare us the image, please. I tell you, it's always like this. It's always my fault for some reason or another. That weekly tabloid article is missing, the camera's missing, that lawyer always makes sure it's my fault they're missing. Speaking of missing, doesn't matter my husband. Can you believe when we got married he said, I guess I'm stuck marrying you? What kind of way to propose is that? What he should have done is he should have whispered in my ear, I don't deserve you, but I can't help it. Will you marry me? Honestly, men these days. If you're bringing up the weekly tabloid article or the camera, it is your fault. Phoenix had nothing to do with either of them, except maybe exposing your crime. Edgy, are you and Miss Oldbag? No! As if it wasn't obvious by my behavior. I know it was silly of me to think this, but I figured that since it's for a kids show, their taste was probably for kids too. But they were so good that I couldn't stop. Before I went back to my room, I just had to help myself to have a dozen or so boxes. Very old age, so may as well speedrun diabetes. It's like both you and him. How is it that the two of you always manage to have some cute or hot girl by your side? Neither of which being 20 at that. Pumice? What pumice? The one where you said you would model for my next book, Francie's Whippity Whip Trip. He's still on that. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to search out a key to unlock your heart this time. Even when the fans don't have Edgeworth and Phoenix making out, they can still use this line to make Edgeworth an asexual, a gay man. If Santa was real, he would be the biggest unlawful trespasser in history. Edgeworth has a point. No! No, the lady's undershirt that Missile found. Ah! Why are you getting all excited over holding onto a lady's undergarment? You know Edgeworth better than that. Even Larry's testimony is Santa related. That's what I spotted the chimney. A chimney like that is a rare thing, you know. Not really. Yeah, there are houses that don't have fireplaces, therefore no chimneys, but it's not as common as Larry makes it sound. Leg Z says, until the root of the tongue dries, one never knows the whole truth. You shouldn't form conclusions until everything is out in the open, which is why I'll listen. Says the wolf who tried to arrest a police officer just because he was near where a body was found and he's missing his gun. Well, I dressed up as Santa and climbed up to the chimney, but the smoke was really thick. But the flashback image doesn't show him in his Santa suit. I'm the devoted type of woman who's wholly focused on one man and one man only. And as long as Edgy Poo is alive, I can't just drop him and be unfaithful. No, I can't. Although earlier I was tempted to the tiny white bit by the wolfman. That was just a test of my love for my dear Edgy Poo, which I passed with flying colors. But from now on, I will stay completely true to my beloved Edgy Poo for the rest of eternity. I swear it. And what would happen if you died first, which is highly likely considering the relative ages involved? Ergo, all we have to do is compare the handwriting in this letter to a sample of yours, and we'll know soon enough who it was that sent this letter. I'll never write another thing in my life! But what about Francie's Whippity Whip Trip? Also, resisting the penmanship analysis like that is, as even Larry should have surmised, akin to a confession of guilt. Isn't it a bit far-fetched to accuse someone simply on the basis of ownership? But this owner wanted to sneak onto the crime scene. No, he wanted to sneak in the room next to the crime scene. Who's to say he didn't fabricate the evidence to give him an alibi? Someone with common sense? When would Edgeworth have had time to fabricate evidence for Larry? He didn't even know he was here. The sword was made to only be used on stage, so it's not sharp. But it is pretty weighty. It's certainly heavy enough to beat someone to death with. This means you held the sword, yes? So why are you claiming it's heavy? Also, this is the contradiction the game wants you to point out. To this new statement, you'll want to present the samurai spear, but Lang was talking about the samurai sword. Just because the spear's hollow doesn't mean that the sword is too, right? And as you can clearly see, the insides of the steel samurai's weapons are hollow. I already explained the flaws in the logic, so instead of explaining it all over again, I'll just assign another sin for this. I'd like you to consider, if you will, the possibility that the sword was used in such a way that the attack killed Damask 2 without bending it. Right, and how would one do that? The real murder weapon, which not a single person has yet to touch, is this. By which you mean everybody's touched it, yeah? Leg Z says, just go already! Agent Lang, I'd like to run a luminol chemiluminescence test on the statue. Yet another long and hard to pronounce word, courtesy of Capcom. Worst case scenario, these prints belong to Larry. Almost as if he somehow found a way to leave his prints on something through the Steel Samurai's gloves. I don't know, dude. Investigating the All-Boshan embassy, not to mention going all the way back down to ground level and making your way back to Bobble, probably took more like 2 hours rather than just 1. So apparently, if you burn the special wood crystal oil that they only make at Bobble, it bursts its green colors, sir. Interesting. So it's a special property of the oil. I suppose this is a ploy to force people to visit Bobble should the oil run out. Kind of a weird ploy. Yes, oil still has to be made, but you make it sound like it was specifically made to make fire burn green, which I highly doubt. But if all of Boston Bobble were to re-establish relations, shouldn't that put an end to the squabbling over the statue? I have no reason to believe so. What? But wasn't it going to be verified which statue was the real one? I received my orders from the leaders of Bobble, and I was to negotiate with Ambassador Roba at this event. I was to negotiate with him and fix the results of the evaluation tonight, to say that we could not determine which statue was the real one. You freaking politicians! Bobble is just as strict as Alabost in their inspection of the people and things that enter their country. That has already been proven false because even though Kay wasn't allowed into Alabost, she was freely accepted into Bobble. I thought that one day it'd be of some use in tracking her down, so I kept it safe all this time. And you're giving the perfume bottle to Edgeworth because... If Kay's supposed to stay in Bobble to investigate with Gumshoe, why did she go with Edgeworth even into Theatrum Neutralis? All I'm doing is going from the open-air stage in Bobble to the Rose Garden in Alabost, on the same level. I'm not doubting it would take a bit of time, but 37 minutes after we first came back to Bobble for an info exchange? How long has Larry been in this pool? And wearing the Steel Samurai suit too. Correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that suit pretty big? How did Larry not drown in that thing? We have not seen hide nor hair of the Iron Infant. Unsurprising since, as far as I know, he has neither. The suddenly appearing and disappearing shadow of the Yatagarasu? I believe I've figured out its true origin. How? Yes, we as the gamer see images of the Yatagarasu as seen by onlookers, but Edgeworth himself was not given a photo or anything. Even if pointing out the two statues was the correct answer, it feels a lot more like guesswork, which Edgeworth isn't known to do. It looks nothing like the Yatagarasu shadow! Indeed not. It looks more like... I'll go no further. And one woman claimed, I'm telling you I'm a genuine international journalist. Well, I did see Lana at the Theatrum Neutralis when we first arrived. What has Kate been doing while I was investigating Alabost? Was she just waiting for me to come back from the Rose Garden? Why not investigate with Gumshoe and Bobble and then give me an update once I come back? That would save a lot of time. Oh, well, it's just that there is something strange about the ink. Would you mind elaborating on that statement for me, please? I'm sure the game wants me to talk to Polano about the ink, but there's still things to investigate at the desk. If I want to talk to Polano before continuing my business at the desk, I'd rather it be done by my own discretion. Instead, the game just takes me out of the desk after I examine the ink. But when I saw that note, I realized it was serious. I should have pointed this out sooner, but what's with all the hold-its? Which fire-related piece of evidence burns the same color as these green flames? Oh, are you asking me? Just to give me a reason the lantern was put in the organizer? We already know about wood crystal oil. She seems to be a very dedicated agent. You would do well to learn from her. Why are you pointing at me when you say that, sir? Why do you think, dumb shoe? Then all you'd have to do is show off your fancy schmancy logical deductions. Show off? Does it seem like I'm being boastful when I do that? Well, sometimes the game requires you to needlessly put two pieces of logic together in a very obvious conclusion, so maybe? I'll even pay the cleaning bill for the trench coat. What? Oh, no, sir, I could never. This is just my old coat, sir. If it was a coat I actually cared about, then I'd get it cleaned, but, you know. Another sign that maybe Edgeworth should be more lenient on the literally and figuratively poor detective's salary. Ambassador Alba, I'm sorry for all the trouble tonight. Oh, no, it is I who should apologize. It was all because I was not strong enough. If only I was able to think of a better solution. To what exactly? Whatever regards the counterfeit operation? For someone who plays the blame himself card, that's a stretch. You! Wolfman, the secretary lady! Hold it! Objection! Pow! We all love excitement, but let's not forget our position here. Oh, it sounds like you have some sort of plan. Very well, I'll supervise you until the end. Is she seriously going to treat me as a subordinate for the rest of the day? Of course she is. That's how she wishes to see you, and you pretty much had to make yourself her subordinate in order to investigate. Hey, Mr. Edgeworth, it's time to bust down with our revolving fireplace wall explanation, right? No, not quite yet. Huh? But why? I thought this would be the perfect time. The revolving wall on the Bobbly side is known only to 4 people, and if we use this information unwisely, the truth may escape us in the end. How would using it now be an unwise move? You're gonna be countering the window argument anyway. Well then, Mr. Prosecutor, go on! Enlighten me! Even if I explain it, you'll try to find some flaw with what I have to say. So? All that means is that you have to counter the counter. It's practically Ace Attorney tradition. There's no breaking that up. It's really okay. I mean, I'm not under suspicion anymore, right, Mr. Edgeworth? Well, I never doubted you. Not for 1 second. But when you proved Kay's innocence, you were saying something like, well, maybe I doubted you a little bit. Pick a lane, Edgeworth! What a surprise! We suspected she was the fake Yanagarasu and she turned out to be the evil woman who escaped 7 years back. Don't underestimate me. I'm not some foolish broad, you know. The word broad is said to be a dated term, but people still use it. What the heck do you mean dated? Informal, maybe. In that case, there is one location that no one has yet to inspect. Which means that everyone's inspected it, right? But you have no way of proving whether or not this is Bobbly's ink on the Kotem. Except for a bottle of Bobbly's ink for comparison at the lab, but actually there's a much easier way to find out. Phew! Why would you try to rush her? A trained assassin who killed your father? I think I answered my own question. Maybe? Let's try pairing up this blade with this handle. You know, the only empty knife handle we have. This whole thing with both of them stopping every few steps looks so awkward if you didn't know Lang took a shot in the leg. Sure, it's midnight. The dawn of another day. I would have thought it'd be midnight sooner, considering it was 11:33 p.m. when we confronted Sheena for her crimes. Also, since when is midnight ever dawn? Mr. Edgeworth, I must apologize for last night. So, the Yanagarasu who stole into my room was you, was it? And who would have thought he'd be revealing this within the next 24 hours? Sheena wasn't the only fake name she used. Callisto Yu was also another pseudonym. From the very beginning, that woman was a spy sent by the smuggling ring. Does she have to not be the victim's sister for believability? I'm pretty sure she could still have been a mole for the ring at the same time. Heck, she already faked being furious at Bad when it came to Cece's death, and Faraday failed to get the murderer convicted. Plus, I don't think it should matter that the person who killed Cece was a member of the same smuggling ring. She, and a mono employee, was going to reveal some secrets. I think it's reasonable to assume that Callisto would view Cece as a traitor. The person who received the order was supposed to burn it immediately after reading it. But then we found one after solving the murder at the prosecutor's office. Why hadn't it been burned? This is the same video as the one Mr. Portsman was trying to conceal from me. Portsman had all this time after the murder to get rid of the video, so why didn't he do it before coming back to Edgeworth's office? Seems like a pretty close estimate given what transpired after midnight already struck, but I personally go with 12:10 a.m. Hey, there's a VCR here, sir! Now we can see what's on that tape Detective Bad gave us! And how convenient that people still use 80s technology in the year 2019, allowing us access to a 10-year-old videotape. The driver's seat in that car is on the right side. I guess maybe Cadopian cars are the opposite as American cars, but the car is on the left side of the pavement. In America, we drive on the right, but maybe Cadopia doesn't actually put the driver's seat on the right, in which case just flip the image for the English version and adjust the P on that side while you go. It can't be that hard either. If this were a video, maybe it would be, but it's a still image. A little edit would mean less stins. What is Lang doing near the western door? Didn't he just exit the Atrium Neutralis through the southern door? And don't tell me you just went through the Rose Garden. In order to enter the embassy, you need to go through the Atrium Neutralis. Under these circumstances, I wish to put your investigation on hold. After all, I believe our own police can handle things from here. They are quite capable. I don't care for your terminology. You're not just putting our investigation on hold. You're cutting us off completely. I was the killer? Hey, wait. But that's impossible. Yeah. Although that whip is actually quite... Yow! Hold your tongue and that ludicrous remark you were about to make! After all, the victim died of blunt force trauma, not whip strikes. I'm not doubting it would have been a while after Bad's arrest before he went up to the ambassador's office at Holocaust. I'm not, but I feel like maybe 46 minutes is a broad overestimate. Because you only know the facts of the Yalabastian side of the case. No? Franziska investigated Bobble too, did she not? So saying she only knows the Yalabast murder would be accurate. Just like with the kidnap turnabout, Lang's first argument in accusing Franziska screwed me over with semantics. He talks about the Alabastian knife going to Bobble, and Bobble's Prima statue going to Alabast, but he never said it was only those two things crossing the borders, but the game expects you to act like he did. I'll say it again. It's not humanly possible to fly through the air without wings. So you'd better have a good explanation for this, Mr. Prosecutor. Ah! What's with the recoil? The fact that he presented the evidence knowing humans can't fly shows that Edgeworth had some idea in mind. Sure, it wasn't fully formed yet, but we're getting there, dang it. Ha! Mr. Prosecutor! You left out a very crucial bit in your explanation. I know I did. She lost it through the air? Ha! And how exactly did she do that? He is literally baring his fangs at me. And it sounds an awful lot like some childish mockery the way he sustained some of those words. But if what she has to say turns out to be a waste of time, I'll place her under arrest faster than you can howl no! Howling no. If you shot an arrow with the two ends of a wire tied to it, a circular belt can be formed. Okay, but unless Bobble's statue is tied to the wire real tightly, it wouldn't exactly help move it up to the All-Boston embassy. Leg Z says, Howl! Howl. I know it was Allabost's statue that we found in Bobble, but at the same time, Bobble's statue was what was found in Allabost. But we also know Bobble's statue is a fake with a cavity inside. Also, the statues are named as Bobble's and Allabost respectively. It really shouldn't matter which one I present, but the game insists on presenting Allabost's statue, even though that was not the statue that contained the counterfeit bills. Again, the game tricked me with semantics. Logic and investigation? Only seconds ago you were ready to arrest Miss Von Karma. I don't think we can give such flip-floppy logic any real weight, do you? Why is he sweating? The accusation was never real. So now the game is saying we spent about as much time on the gameplay as we did getting back to Theatra Neutralis, but I say it should have been closer to 2 AM than the game suggests it to be by now. From this footage, we know that the card is a directives card from the smuggling ring. This is the section that proves that the card was used to relay an order. Why is the game making me do this, pointing to the card right in the murderer's hand? Don't do that to me. Detective Gumshoe, if you could please magnify the footage. I'm pretty sure that would make the footage look more pixelated. This area of the footage directly links the smuggling ring with Cadopia. Dude, if this is supposed to be video footage, why is it hard to believe that I captured Manny Cochin entering the car too? The Principality of Cadopia no longer exists, so naturally, all records from that time period also no longer exist. That sounds mighty suspicious. Just because a unity between nations no longer exists doesn't mean the record shouldn't exist either. What? Why is there a space in the middle of the screaming? What a pathetic performance! I'm not giving you one! Wow, you two really know how to laugh at inappropriate times. I know, right? We're getting a lot of laughing before the final investigation of the game, and I still got about 2 hours to go. Furthermore, by the very nature of my position, I have full extraterritorial rights. These rights are effective even on your country's soil. Therefore, no matter where a crime may take place, I will never stand trial in one of your courts. That's been said already. Extraterritoriality is on your side. We get it. Thank you very much. Can we move on, please? It was more like 10 minutes after we showed the footage to Alba that the chapter ended. Yet we begin the next chapter 37 minutes later. If the law can't help us, then I'll go as the Yatagarasu and take care of this myself. Don't you dare! Mr. Edgeworth. Sorry, that was a bit too harsh. No, that was rational concern. And I have some things that I need to investigate further in Allabost. I can't imagine investigating Allabost now to be easy, especially with A, the tight security, and B, Alba wanting the investigation to be over. Right, so we can assume that the renovation was the cause of the plate and bills disposal, and the reason Mr. Kocha was killed is the ringleader of the smuggling operation. Based on what we know, who do you think was the one with the most to gain? Let's see. Who's the one boasting extraterritoriality and trying to name Cochin as the ringleader of the smugglers? Which minute's footage should I examine? The most suspicious one seems to be the one that's on screen when the options are presented to us. However, once you've recorded a score, that same game can never be replayed again. No, but we can try for a new high score, so how about it, Alba? Please, may I have a little bit of your time, Ambassador Alba? What, you're not even a little bit shocked that this elderly man is not hunched over anymore, unless you've seen him like this before? Objection! Alba has his own objection soundbite, but he's not a representative of the law. What am I saying? Of course not. He's above the law. I never use guesswork in moving my cases through. Then explain the statues in the Rose Garden, dude. Waste my time with any inane questions and you will be punished. What are you gonna do, commit physical assault? In which case, there is only one statement to which I need to present the evidence. Two, actually. Not so fast! Lang Z says, Ex Machina. Also, Lang left through the eastern door. What's he doing at the western door? No. I won't be stopped now!
He still intends to fight us?
That's what just about everyone who got this far is saying by now. This whole testimony is basically a repeat of the rebuttal he made against the argument of him killing Coach in a Theatrum Neutralis.
Hold it!
Gumshoe ex machina. Hold it! It appears that we made it just in time! Neo old ex machina.
No! The two people I wanted to see the least!
The way you say that, not to mention so late, means you're surprised at who's under the masks of the Steel Samurai and Pink Princess. But you've met them already. You knew who they were. Go away! Just the fact that this guy says go away like a little kid that's playing on the playground roundabout. Is it just me, or is the Iron Infant completely soaked? Oh, yeah! The way Larry said that makes it sound like he just now realized now that Kay mentions it. But he was the one that found it. I'm pretty sure he'd have noticed it was soaked already. Why did Gumshoe need to call Edgeworth to tell him about the pool in the open air stage? Just come back to the Theatrum Neutralis. You see, Mr. Prosecutor, our chase after this man is far from over. Oh, you're telling me I still got one last checkpoint to go and I'm still arguing with this old fart. You know, I don't think this guy is going to ever admit to his wrongdoings, Mr. Edgeworth. It sure feels that way, doesn't it? And we're just approaching the final checkpoint in the game. And yep, there it is. Final checkpoint, and I'm still trying to get Alba to admit to everything from smuggling to first-degree homicide. I don't remember final confrontations being this tedious. Yeah, and the Steel Samurai special finishing move today was really something, huh? Hey, Angie! Who is she? Who is this super cute girl?
She's been standing here this whole time and only now he notices her?
I mean, to be fair, because Kay wasn't initially allowed to Olapos, Larry would never have met her before this final confrontation. But when Larry and Oldbag entered, Kay was the first one who spoke, which soon led to the unmasking of the samurai. She was also the one to ask about the Iron Infant being soaked. That's all what made the question so unbelievable. Quercus Alba, you didn't watch even a single minute of the Steel Samurai stage show tonight, did you? How's that for guesswork? He didn't watch the show at all? Yeah, and trust me, I know a real fan when I see one, because I'm the Steel Samurai. I will never acknowledge you as the true Steel Samurai. Good, because Will Powers is and always will be the one and only true Steel Samurai, like how Harrison Ford is and always will be the one and only true Indiana Jones, or Johnny Depp is and always will be the one and only true Captain Jack Sparrow. Also, Edgeworth's secret love for the Steel Samurai can hardly be called a secret anymore after this line. About 5 minutes before the show, we threw it up on the dressing room's whiteboard. Early Summer Rain Jab. That's kind of how we decided on the name of the move. Really? Because all I see under the Steel Samurai versus the Gem and Ninja is a bunch of scribbles. It's also very tedious and a pointless exercise and wasting time, much like a kids show. Hey, don't you dare diss kids shows as a whole. The staff members who knew were keeping it a secret, so you couldn't have simply gone up to a staff member and asked. He also would have had no reason to ask, given that it didn't look like anything had really changed from the original idea.
Is this the end?
I know that people like to mock this line and other variants thereof for how often they happen in this episode alone, but by this point, I've already seen it so often, even in other games in the series, that I've grown null to it. Don't treat me like I'm some sort of nuisance! That's exactly what you are, and you know it! The thought occurred to me that maybe it would be good if I fed you and made sure you were nice and full. One day it's my dream to serve you some of my own homemade food. I mean, isn't it the desire of every woman to make sure that their beloved never goes hungry? And that's what I want to experience. I'll tell you one thing though, a long time ago they used to say that I could make the most delicious meal out of any ingredient you threw in front of me. Oh, I was a star in the kitchen back then, and I was... For goodness sake, you're so friggin' decrepit and I'm so friggin' young. Take the hint, lady. It's never gonna work between us.
There is no power on earth that can force that woman into silence.
Except for inevitable death, which I bet happened during the 8-year span when Phoenix wasn't practicing law. Why did you? Because I haven't finished reporting everything to you yet, sir. So we went through all that dialogue just for this? The blood doesn't belong to anyone connected to the case. That should be clue enough. That's a freaking lie. You couldn't have known that. Quercus Alba, you!
Base 4.
Silence! Don't you ever address me with such a filthy word again! I'm just shocked that Lang said it at all in an Ace Attorney game. Also, I'm pretty sure just about everyone who got this far called you worse names, huh? You raggle-fraggled cow pie?
Is this really the extent of all that we can do?
I mean, this moment of despair makes sense for the story, but I already knew what evidence to present from the moment the blood on the box was revealed not to belong to the victim. Yet the game has me wait through all this bullcrap first. I've already deliberated with Alba for like the past hour and a half. It's time for this whole thing to be over. And I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling prosecutors. Technically, 2 prosecutors, a Yatagarazu's daughter, a detective, an Interpol agent that actually hates prosecutors, said Interpol agents, 99 cronies, the Steel Samurai, and the Pink Princess, but all that makes the Scooby-Doo reference too long.
You're solving cases left and right today, aren't you, sir?
Technically this week, which is just as impressive actually. I can't believe you didn't notice! I was even mimicking Mr. Edgeworth's voice for a bit. A 17-year-old girl trying to sound like a 26-year-old man? Even Gumshoe should have noticed something was up.
Look, don't get me wrong, I'll still never forgive you prosecutors. And I have zero interest in that truth thing you talk about in court.
You know what's bullcrap? It took the US 15 years to officially, from Capcom, get an answer for Lang's trust issues.
I prepared a whole ton of thicker tape for today's victory, sir.
First of all, the confetti strewn about the courtroom is actually there and not just for visual aesthetics. Or maybe he's talking about the ticker tape he used in that photo taken at the end of Turnabout Goodbyes. Second, if it wasn't what Gumshoe threw after Edgeworth's acquittal, I thought the confetti was only for not guilty verdicts. Oh, so about my suitcases. I've been selling them on the internet and they've become a real sensation. If there's one thing this game got right about 2019, it's the fact that any random thing, like Tenero's suitcase design, is in all likelihood being praised not just as a genuine work of art like the Mona Lisa, but rather for stupid internet memes. Just think, someday you will be able to take a ride in my pink-walled, yellow-seated jet. And that's another thing they got right about 2019, style falling off.
But more importantly, Aaron, I received the most fantastic treasure recently. The Primadox statue of the Principality of Cadopia. It weighs a bit light in my hands, but the Ambassador Paleno was most generous.
I'm not surprised that Paleno gave LeBlanc the fake and not the real treasure, but how valuable is the fake really? Not as valuable as the real thing, no doubt.
The Snow Patrolman has been fired as of today, sir!
Now that you mentioned that, didn't you say you were fired for an incident last year involving you losing case files? I don't know, I'm just going off of what was revealed in Turnabout Succession.
I think I'll go to the courthouse and file a complaint with Rufflesman.
First off, Rufflesman? I thought you called Edgeworth by name. Second, yeah, you'll definitely go to the courthouse, but only to work as a useless bailiff that allowed the defendant to avoid capture. Yikes, I didn't think I'd be referencing Turnabout Succession twice in a row. I was actually hoping to talk with Mr. Edgeworth a bit more than I did. Don't worry, you'll get more chances in the sequel. Next time I help Mr. Edgeworth on a case, I'm going to do it as a real forensic scientist. Although, if it weren't for the sequel, you'd have been right on that.
Since we judges are here day in and day out, I've only heard a few rumors, but apparently Mr. Edgeworth teamed up with a thief and became a detective.
If we're being technical, perhaps, but hasn't Edgeworth usually been physically involved with investigations in one form or another? I wonder what my next job should be. Ooh, this is actually kind of fun! Unfortunately, whenever you appear again, probably in Ace Attorney 7, probably not, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're a murder suspect again. Oh, so I noticed that I really haven't seen the guy in the blue suit at all recently. Larry, you know the guy's name. He's your childhood friend. He's not like the man in the yellow hat. Just say his name outright. Hey, I know. Maybe I'll just keep on being Mr. Edgeworth's assistant.
Are you still trying to steal my job, pal?
Just kidding, just kidding. I can't steal something so important to you, Gummy. What about the Amano kidnapping case? A 3-person team of young beauties the same age as me, if possible.
With those criteria, I highly doubt you'll find the 2 other people you need.
And more importantly, if you're trying to be like your dad, remember, he worked with a detective 13 years older than him and a lawyer 18 years younger. I really don't think age matters that much. Oh, one last thing before I go. Let's take a group picture, just the 3 of us.
Yeah, commemorative photo. Every big case has to end with one.
By every big case, are you talking about Turnabout Goodbyes? Because that's the only case so far up to this point in the timeline that had a commemorative photo.
Stop that! I can't be seen doing that!
Doing what? Posing for a picture, or...?
What did you pick pointing at the steak for?
Of course, a hot steak is better than cold chop.